The book of Romans has always been, I would say, my favorite book in the New Covenant scriptures, even as a new believer. I remember how I loved Paul's amazing insight, his brilliance in laying out biblical truth systematically in a way that helped me to see the nature of this new life in Messiah that I had entered into. But I had a problem because as I would read through the book of Romans, whenever I would get to chapter 9, I would end up rushing through chapters 9 and 10, and then maybe reading chapter 11 at a more normal pace. 9 and 10, they just seemed to be filled with so many statements I could not understand, almost random statements that Paul was making, which I couldn't see the relevance of. Well, in 2009, when my wife and I were leading a Messianic congregation in Florida, I felt the Lord calling me to take the congregation through a verse-by-verse study of the book of Romans. So we went for about 4 months, every Saturday, through chapters 1 through 8. But then, as I was getting near the end of teaching chapter 8, I realized I'm going to have to teach chapters 9 through 11, and I am not prepared to do it. And so when we did finish chapter 8, I said to the congregation, we're going to take a break for a little bit, and then we'll come back and conclude the study of Romans. Well, a couple of months passed, and I had kind of put it out of my mind a little bit, but then the Lord sort of gently reminded me, you do have to get back to this study and pick up in chapter 9 where you left off. So I realized I need to take the plunge and to really dive into these chapters and try to get a feel for them, try to get a grasp and an understanding of them. So I took time to study some resources on it, to listen to what other teachers had to say about it. And as I studied and thought out the concepts that Paul was presenting, I began to see with much greater clarity on these chapters, enabling me to realize that these are central chapters for understanding the entire book, the entire message that Paul is teaching in Romans. Since that time, it's actually become one of my favorite topics to teach on because I really do see people's eyes open as we go through the material. People gain a clarity into this big picture of what God is doing in bringing about world redemption and a clarity as to how this big picture relates to each of us as individual believers. So it's my joy to invite you to join us for this class as we will journey together through these great chapters of Scripture. I suspect that as we finish our study, all of us together will likely echo Paul's own words from chapter 11, verse 33. Oh, the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. I hope you can join us for this special time of study together.